it's Sarah Franklin, Director of Sales and Marketing for Impact Data here to talk to you about another TalkBox Spotlight video. Today, we're going to focus on reports. There are 5 different types of reports in your TalkBox account, and you may not have explored all of them, so we're going to go through each of them to help you really understand what's happening with your engagement and retention marketing. All right, let's start with the basic report, which is, of course, what happens after you send a communication. So that when you navigate to reports, communications, and you can see there how each communication is tracking. So we'll just click that and let's go and look at one of the communications that was sent that has a few contacts in it. So say this one back here, you can see what the email looks like. You can obviously see how many people it was sent to, how many people opened it. Remembering that open rates aren't exactly the most accurate measure anymore, because some email service providers will simply note the email as opened once it's been received. So don't get too hung up on them, but they are a good indicator of your engagement. Any bounces that you received, and of course clicks. Clicks are a really important way for you to measure engagement in your communication. So really think about where your call to action is in your communication, and don't just have one. You know, if you really want someone to order or book or visit your online website, then make sure there's a couple of ways that they can do it. And remember that most communications will be opened on a phone. So put your call to action as close to the top as possible. We don't want people to have to scroll to see what you want them to do. So be really bold about what you want them to do, and then you can go and look at the clicks. And then of course you can see how many people unsubscribed. So when you go in and look at the full report, you can get a little bit more detail, obviously. You can see who fit in those categories. So who were the people that didn't open it, who were the people that bounced, and who were the people that unsubscribed. And of course, if they are unopened and you want to retarget them, you can do that. And we'll have another video to help you with that and some support articles. You can also see who clicked the different links, and each link in your email will be listed separately. So even if you have a couple of links that are to book, they'll still be listed as each different button or each link in your text. So you can see which one worked, which is really important for you to understand, where in your message people were clicking. And then of course you can see what devices people looked at, and that information isn't always necessarily reported back at 100%, but it does help you understand that most people who opened your communication did it on a mobile, would be my experience. All right, so that's what a communication email report looks like, and SMS is similar. However, obviously we understand deliverability, but we don't get the same level of reporting back for SMS messages, so it'll be a little less detailed. Okay, the next level of reports is your automated communications. So each of your automated, date triggered, birthday recurring, whatever type of information you have, will have its own report. So if you go into I've gone into my date triggered, I've got a welcome message set up in this account. And if I go in and have a look, I can see the report here. So I can see the history, of course, but I can see the report. Now, I only just set this one up, so there's only March 2025 is available. But if you've had that report going for quite some time, you can go back and see the history of how it's tracked a month at a time. And you can see how many people have opened it and clicked it. So exactly the same level of reporting that you received for your single send communications is available in your auto comms as at a monthly level. So you can see how they've tracked month on month, which is obviously really valuable to see what sort of engagement rates you're getting, particularly in your welcome message. Are people hitting your call to actions? Are they opening their emails? Should you be having another retargeting opportunity? All of those sorts of things. So really important things to go back and track and keep an eye on how your communications are tracking. All right. Often when you put a communication together, the next thing you might have in there is a voucher. So let's go and see how the voucher reports are looking. And of course, I've gone to the wrong section. So let's go into the reports voucher section, and you can get a sense of how they're tracking. So you can see what they look like. You can see how many people have been offered them. You can go in how many are still redeemable, what time they would have redeemed, when they were issued versus when they were redeemed, and the last date that they were issued, and of course your percentage redemption rate and the raw number. So you can go back and track that by week or by month, and then you can go and look at the contacts that receive that. So another really valuable tool to help you understand which of your vouchers is hitting the mark. A little tip: if, for example, all of your communications, all your automated communications have the same offer, say it's a free drink or a venue voucher or something like that, it's a really good idea to create a different voucher for each of those communications. So it's much easier to track whether your revisit 30 email is doing better than your revisit 60 email in terms of voucher redemptions, because you can see the voucher redemption report. So there's a little tip, is to set up a separate voucher for each of your campaigns. That will just make tracking the response rates a little bit easier. All right, while we're here, let's go and have a look at our Net Promoter Score. So another thing that often people will do in their welcome email, or potentially after a number of visits, is ask people for their feedback. So we've got other tools that you can check on our support center and other videos about using Net Promoter Score. But if you are using it, it's a great idea to come in and review the reports. So on the summary report page, you can see your score. And if you're in hospitality, 32 is a good score. So this account, which is my demo account, isn't doing so well, but anyway. And that score is a combination, is your promoters less your detractors. And the range can be -100 to +100. Up here, you can just see those summaries of how you're tracking. If you scroll down, you can see your score over time, which is obviously quite useful for a business. And you can go back and just look at it at different periods. You can also filter by anything that's on the contact. So you could filter by location if your account has multiple locations, or you could filter it simply by people who have visited more times or who have visited in the last 30 days, because that might be really important. You've had a change in the business and you've been tracking, you're really keen to get feedback on how you're tracking. So you might go and filter those options. So for example, you could go and do visit frequency is high because I really care what my high value customers are saying about me. You could do that. The other view of your Net Promoter Score is, of course, the comments. So you can come in and you can actually go and send communications to selected people as a response. As a thank you, you might send a voucher. You might do something other than what your automated NPS responses are, but you can come in and look at that report. Again, you can filter it by behavioral information that we understand that's on the contact, or by profile information, which is those contact fields here. So lots of detail to get into in your Net Promoter Score. All right, the last and perhaps most comprehensive view of reporting is account performance. Now, this account doesn't have any live data in it, so it's only a fraction of what you'll see if you've got point of sale data or online ordering data or booking data in your account. You will get the value, the number of contacts visited, the percentage of your contacts visited and how many visits they created that month, and also the value of those visits. So if we're tracking your point of sale, we understand what your loyalty customers have spent in your program, or whether it's how many bookings they've created with Now Book It or Res Diary or someone like that. We'll also see the global view of how your vouchers have performed. So that voucher report rolled up into a single report to say you had 100 vouchers issued and 20 redeemed, and you'd be able to see that redemption rate. Then, of course, you can go and look into the next screen. And again, this is a demo account, so there's no real data here. But you can see, you'd be able to see how all of your automated communications have fared. So how many you've got active, how many contacts you hit that month. So how many people received an automated communication, what's the average open rate and click-through rate. And that is, again, recorded for your single send communication. So all the ones that you do in your own account, that is rolled up, and you can see how your performance was across all your communications, and then how many responses you got from your Net Promoter Score. And then finally, how's your database growing? So you've got what percentage change, and sometimes that can go down because you might have removed some people from your database. You can no longer contact them, but usually it's a positive number and what percentage change that was. Now these reports are exportable, which is really useful for you, for your management reports and things like that, so you can keep an eye on how you're tracking with your automated and single send communications. So hopefully that's given you a little bit more understanding of the detail of reporting that's in your TalkBox account, and that you can go in, explore, and find out a little bit more. Of course, if you've got questions and you want some more information, you can contact us at support@impactdata.com.au. Thanks.